Good.
Good
Okay.
afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday Lunch and Learn. Today is the 27th of April, and we have a collaboration of two chamber members. I love when chamber members get together to put on events. We have Jackie Berman from LegalShield, IDShield.
Shield.
Yes, okay. And Tamer Gouda with New York Life, and they have want to share some information with you about planning for tomorrow today. So Jackie, you'll go first.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you first for letting us do this. Really appreciate it. Want to ask you a question. Actually, Ann heard me ask it last night. What do these people have in common? Abe Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., Jimi Hendrix, Pablo Picasso, Bob Marley, Sonny Bono, Tupac, Kurt Cobain, Prince, Michael Jackson, Aretha Franklin, and 400,000 COVID victims. Anybody know?
We're all dead.
Okay, they're all dead, but they all died without a will.
Oh,
Really?
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
So what happens when they die without a will? To their estate? Right. Well, who gets the most money is really the state and the attorneys at that point. So I want to try to get you to realize how important it is to make sure you have an updated will. It's not about who inherits the good silver. That's just the beginning. And why don't people actually want to write a will? One reason is they're afraid. They don't want to talk about it. You know, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen. And also because the cost is so expensive. I know back in the 1990s, I had to redo my will, which I'm going to get into, but I was a widow at the age of 31 with two small kids. I had a 4-month-old and a 4-year-old. I mean, I had really young kids when my first husband passed away, but we had a will, and it made my life so much easier by having that will. And then what happened is, because normally when you have a will, you have in there somebody, a guardian for your kids. Now I had to update my will because of the fact that I needed somebody to take care of my kids if something should happen to me. So it cost me at that point $1,500 in the 1990s. And then I've had it updated since. But according to ARP, 2 out of every 5 Americans over the age of 45 do not have a will. 70% of all adults do not have a will. It's like my brother just passed away last year. He did not have a will. It cost my niece thousands of dollars extra because the state he was in requires either you to have a will and an executor, or you have to hire an attorney to handle everything. So because he was out of state, she had to hire an attorney, and it cost her a lot of money and aggravation. So I wanted you to make sure everything is updated so your loved ones don't get that aggravation. Now, creating a will is one of the most crucial things you could do for your loved ones. Putting your wishes on paper helps your heirs avoid unnecessary hassles. It gives you peace of mind knowing that whatever you have is going into the right hands. Do you want that piece of jewelry going to your husband's next wife? Or do you want it going to your family? You know, like my mother actually expressed to me, Jackie, when I pass away, I want to make sure my jewelry stays with the girls of the family, because she was afraid that if it went to a boy, they got divorced or whatever, then nobody in the family would have it. And I did. I promised her, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I put the jewelry aside, and it's going to be going to my great niece. But it was a peace of mind knowing that I was taking care of it. And unfortunately, the way my brother was, he was looking for the jewelry immediately. And luckily I already had it in a vault. because he would have sold it. Now, the person you name in your will is called the executor, and make sure the executor is the right person. It doesn't have to be, a family member. It could be an attorney, or it could be even a good friend of yours. But you want to make sure that that person is going to follow the wishes that you make. Now, in my, I tell people when you're doing your will, make sure you put everything in there that you really want. Like you really have to think about who's going to be taking care of the kids. I put in there who's getting my pets in case something should happen to me. I've got, I spoke to the person who I selected for my dog and make sure it was okay with her. And I also selected somebody for my cat and made sure it was okay with them. Because for me, like when my brother passed, he had 5 dogs, no plans whatsoever for the dogs. And we had to figure out, none of us could take the dogs. He bred labs, so they were all big labs and beautiful dogs, all purebred, but we had to find homes for them. And they ended up going into a lab rescue because we couldn't do it. So make sure you take care of those things. And insurance policies and retirements usually are not in your will. Usually you've got beneficiaries assigned for those. And if you die without a will, it's called intestate, which means that the state laws decide who inherits what. And you don't want the state to decide who's going to be taking care of your kids, who's going to be getting your property. You might want to even just donate it to a nonprofit, but you want to make sure everything is in place before anything should happen. And with COVID and everything right now, things could happen so quickly. Between COVID and just the world itself, it's crazy. So make sure that things are in place. Now, people ask, should I have a separate will for myself and my husband, or should we have one together? Make sure you have separate wills. All right. The reason why you want separate wills is because the other person might have been previously married, might have other children, and you don't want to combine. So and you don't have to even know what's in the other person's will, but make sure you have a separate will with separate executors making the decisions and making sure that it's done properly. And I tell everybody, which I'm going to be showing you a little video, that when you have different changes in life, make sure that you get your updated will. And this is when we could run that video.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Bill Thrush. I'm the managing principal of Friedman, Fromme & Thrush, a LegalShield provider law firm. So in our law firm, we get a common question: when should I update my will? Should I only do it when my circumstances change? The simple answer to that is yes. When your circumstances change, you should update your will. However, you should have a more broad definition of what a change means. Everyone can understand a change if there's a birth of a child, a death of a family member, or someone gets married or divorced. Those are readily apparent. Those are easy to identify. But you should also keep that more broad definition of a life change in mind. For example, if you or your spouse loses your job or changes your job, that might trigger circumstances that will warrant a change in your will. If your financial status changes, for example, in a positive or a negative direction, take a look at your will. If you relocate your residence either to a different county or state, look at your will. If your health status changes, you should look at your estate plan and see what the impact might be. If there's a change of law in your state, and not just with respect to probate law, but with respect to any law that might impact your finances, you should see how that change impacts your estate plan. As you age and as your heirs age, you may want to make changes to your estate plan. For example, if you have minor children in there and they have reached the age of majority, maybe that trust you set up is no longer appropriate. And finally, if you have assets that you want to leave behind to your family members and those assets are gone, or you obtain new assets that you want to make sure get left behind the way you want, you should use that as an opportunity to visit your estate plan. Now, keep in mind that every person's situation is unique and every circumstance is individualized. Keep also in mind that every state's laws are different. So you should call your provider law firm and check with them about your specific situation. And remember, no matter what, under any circumstance, you should have your will looked at every 3 to 5 years. When in doubt, check it out.
Okay. That's one of our law firm providers who just gave that presentation. But remember, when you're doing your will, think about the different things and who you're leaving your children to, your young children to. You don't want to leave them.
Culture is important to an organization's success.
Oh.
Frankly, I have
There's a
no idea
video
what the other
playing.
shit
Hold on.
Okay, you want to make sure it's not a popularity contest. You want to make sure it's the right person you chose to take care of your young children, because it might be somebody that, unless you have a will, the state decides, well, that's the closest relative. That person might not really even know the children. So be careful as to who you choose. All right, now, and also you want to leave everything really super organized for when you pass. I know when my mom passed, and I did the same thing for my son, I have a little organizer, and it says even where I want to get buried, who I want to give them my service, even who is my financial advisor. I wouldn't have known who my mother's financial advisor was if she didn't leave the name for me. Even your safety deposit box. Make sure whatever it is that you leave everything organized for the next person, because they're grieving enough of your loss, and every little bit that you could do to help at least alleviate some of the stress is really helpful for them. Now, let me get into a healthcare power of attorney. A healthcare power of attorney takes effect when you cannot make the healthcare decisions for yourself. And it's really important to have more than one person as your healthcare power of attorney, because an example of this, and I know I'm allowed because I've asked him, is George, who is a member of the chamber. And he even posted his video where George is an attorney, his sister is an attorney, and she happens to be an Athena Award winner. And when his mother and father both came down with COVID in January, they were both on ventilators and in comas. The mother was, her healthcare power of attorney was the father, who could not make a decision. They were going to have to go to court to make the decision about the mother, but luckily the father woke up long enough to sign off on the papers. So I always say to people, make sure for your healthcare power of attorney, you have at least 2 people who do not live in the same household, because God forbid you're in a car accident and you're in the car together, you want somebody else there too. Personally, I have my son in Seattle and I have my niece in Illinois to make any kind of healthcare decisions. I know if I had put my daughter down, I'd already be dead, because she would say, pull it now, smother her or whatever. So so you be careful who you pick. And you want to make sure that they're making the right decision, because I've heard, actually there was somebody who was from the chamber also, who his husband, they did not have a healthcare power of attorney for their father. Now, they had a lot of arguments when it came time at the very end as to whether or not you want to keep the person alive or not keep the person alive. So make sure you're making the right decision. And with that also, healthcare power of attorney could go into effect just when you're under surgery, something could happen, or just even if you have Alzheimer's or dementia. So think about the right person for the healthcare power of attorney and make sure it's more than one person. Now, what's a living will? A living will clearly communicates your end of life wishes. Do you want to keep on the respirator? Do you want to keep alive under, feeding tubes or whatnot? And this is where a lot of times it will get into a lot of complications if you don't have a living will, because families will fight to keep somebody alive where the other person might not feel that way. I've heard, well, usually I would do role play, but right now there could be a mother and a daughter. The husband actually is on a respirator and feeding tubes, and his parents want him to be kept alive no matter what. The daughter and the mother feel that, hey, his wife feel, no, he didn't want to live that way. Let's pull the plug. Well, there causes a big argument because, his parents feel that they're trying to kill the son, even though he might not be able to come back. Please make sure, the parents might think that they're gold diggers, that they just want the inheritance. So make sure you have your living will in place. And then what's a financial power of attorney? Financial power of attorney grants a trusted agent. It could be an attorney, it could be a CPA, or it could be a family member to act on your behalf when you're not able to make any financial decisions, including just even paying your bills. So make sure you have somebody reliable who's not going to steal from the estate, who is going to be paying the bills accordingly. And so, pick whoever you feel is right. And for a free link to, you can email me and I will send you a link to get a free healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney, and living will. Just email me at pearlsofwisdommedia@gmail.com. So that's basically why I really feel I was a widow at 31. You don't know what could happen tomorrow. So make sure you have it in place, ready to go, very well organized. And if you have any questions, please give me a call. My information is with the chamber, Jackie Berman, LegalShield. So thank you very much. And I want to introduce, though, Tamer, because I'm very passionate, besides everybody having a will, I'm really passionate about making sure everybody has life insurance. And you're never too young to get life insurance. And for me, we didn't have enough life insurance when my husband passed because of the fact that he had cancer when we were in high school. So he had a pre-existing condition. I have somebody else who would like, actually my college roommate, her future son-in-law in his 30s was just diagnosed with cancer. Well, guess what? He no longer can get life insurance. So please get it while you're young. And Tamer, go right ahead. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you all for coming today. And for those that are watching the replay on YouTube, Jackie and I have a natural synergy between what she does and what I do in the planning stages for you. You need to do these types of planning for your family's financial future. Jackie mentioned that they had that type of plan in place, but they didn't have enough. I'll tell you another story about someone. You're a fairly young person, 42 years old, about to get married, went to get extra life insurance for his future bride, just in case something happened. Applied, and unfortunately, he wasn't healthy enough to get life insurance. He was too big, because for life insurance, you have to qualify for it. You have to be of good health. You have to qualify for the policy. And that person was too heavy. His build was too big to be a qualified risk for life insurance. Thankfully, that person's father did put life insurance on him when he was a child. So there is some type of life insurance for that person's future wife. And that person is me. And my wife is here on this Zoom. Thankfully, like I said, my father took care of some of that when I was a child, but I wasn't able to get more. Hopefully, as I continue to lose weight, I'll be able to get more life insurance so that Sarah and any future children we have will be fully protected so that they are not left in financial peril. So, nobody wants to talk about this thing we call life insurance. Nobody wants to talk about doing their will, but if you don't do the proper planning and something does happen, no one's afraid to go ask their neighbors, their Facebook friends, their church, the religious community for help, or to set up a GoFundMe. If you do the proper planning, you won't need GoFundMe. If you talk to someone like me, you won't need that, because eventually that money through GoFundMe or the money that's collected at your church or through the neighbors will eventually run out. Eventually the dinners will stop coming to your front porch, but you will still have needs. You'll have a mortgage, you'll have rent to pay, you'll have food bills, you'll have utilities, you'll have so many bills. And unless the proper plans are put in place, you're not going to have the money to do that. So when should you talk to a financial professional or insurance professional? You know, Jackie kind of mentioned some of these things in her presentation. When you buy a new home, if you've refinanced your mortgage, if you've gotten married, if you've had a baby, if you've changed jobs, if you're saving for college, if you're contributing more than your company matched to your tax deferred account, and if you want tax-free income in retirement, you need to talk to an insurance professional. So when you look at financial planning and financial needs, there are several steps that you should follow. Now, for those of you who know, my ancestors come from Egypt, so I like pyramids. So I'm going to show you a financial pyramid. Now, any person you talk to in the type of position I do will show you this type of financial pyramid. This is a standard. Most people will show you this. The first level of a pyramid, you need a strong foundation in order to continue to build up to that high point. So first, you need defensive planning to build that strong foundation of future financial stability. So you got to protect what you earn, protect what you own, protect what you owe, and protect those that you love. If you haven't done this step of planning, you are very behind, because this is going to leave your family and the people you love the most in financial peril if something would happen. And if you've learned anything in the last 14 months, tomorrow isn't promised and we don't know what's going to happen. The unexpected keeps popping up. So plan for it, plan for your family's financial future. After that, we can get into offensive planning. We can help you plan for major purchases. We can help plan for emergencies, college education, and retirement. You've been working hard all your life, saving up. Let us show you how to keep more of that retirement. I'll get into that a little bit later. Then there's aggressive planning. We can help with diversity, reduce tax risk and financial risk. We can help maximize your qualified plan contributions, and we can help you protect against inflation. Lastly, we're going to help you conserve your estate, help you with charitable giving, help you with tax efficiency, and we can also help you with business continuation planning. A lot of us here in the chamber are small business owners, and we're sitting here, we're working hard. A lot of us are putting in a lot of hours to build a future. But while you're working, you kind of lose sight of what's important. You also lose sight of the end game. You're not going to work forever, and eventually you're going to need some type of continuation planning for your business. How else can we help? We help you protect a standing of living. So here you are, you're working every day, you're pushing that ball up the hill, you're trying to get, trying to meet the bare necessities, you're trying to get by, you're trying to have that level of comfort, and eventually you want to have enough money so that you're comfortable and you're pushing that ball up the hill, but you never know what's going to happen. How many people were about to go on retirement in 2008, 2009 when the market dropped 34% overnight and they couldn't retire anymore? They had been saving and they'd been saving and they'd been saving, but they didn't do the proper safety planning to make sure that they could recover should something like that happen. Now, is another financial crisis coming? It very well could be. The market has been growing at an all-time high. We haven't had a real correction in a while. Sure, the market dipped back in March when the pandemic first started, but we're due for a correction. The market goes through cycles. So you need to have the proper plans in place, and you can do that through life insurance. So how do we help? We set that barrier for you so that while you're pushing that ball up the hill, should you take a tumble financially, whether it be your investment accounts taking a tumble, whether some type of emergency hits, we give you that base that you will never go below to protect your family's financial future. For example, if you've set up the right type of life insurance, you can borrow from it tax-free. Again, I'll talk more about it in a little bit. But say you are looking to retire and the market does take a tumble and everything you've been saving in your tax-deferred account gets cut in half. Are you going to start taking distributions while the market's low? Or will you borrow from yourself in a tax-free account of life insurance so that you can allow your investments to recover? We're able to do that through life insurance. Another thing is tax diversity. Now, I'm going to ask a question if you want to turn on your mics. So right now, we are at a pretty much low when it comes to taxes. Here's how taxes have shaped up over the years. As you can see, they've been as high as over 90%, and right now they're below 35%. So right now, if you were to think 20 years from now, do you think taxes are going to be higher or lower in the future? Anyone?
Higher.
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 Most probably. And why is that? This is the US debt clock. You know, there's one of these in Times Square that's constantly ticking. With the current packages of, Tom, you're straining to see, do I need to make it a little bit bigger for you?
Just let's a lot of numbers up there.
There are a lot of numbers up here. But this is the one I want you to take a look at. The US national debt, it's $28 trillion. So here we are, we keep piling onto this. You know, right now there's, and this is not a political statement, but they're talking about a $4 trillion job bill to go on top of the $3 trillion Corona relief package they just passed. Eventually, this money is going to have to get paid down. What are the ways that the US government's able to stop debt from growing or pay it back? Anyone have any ideas? There's actually really two ways.
Taxes.
Taxes, that is one reason, higher taxes. And the other reason is
More taxes.
but there's that too. There's more taxes on top of the taxes, but it's stop spending. And anyone that's followed the government, whether it doesn't matter what side you're on, spending is not something they stop. They're constantly spending money. So it's raising taxes. So right now, a lot of us are conditioned to save for retirement in a tax deferred account. So you're only deferring taxes now to pay them in the future. So depending on your tax bracket, we're just going to use the average, the 20% bracket. You're saving 20 cents on the dollar, and in the future, you could end up paying 40 cents on the dollar. Which is more important to you? So it's all about the right type of planning for tomorrow, but you got to do it today. So there are three types of income in life. There's taxable income, tax deferred income, and then tax-free income. If you had to choose just at looking at this, which one do you want to be in? Where do you want the most of your retirement sitting? Do you want it in tax later, tax now, or tax-free?
It's a trick question.
Tax-free.
It is a trick question. Tax-free, I like that answer. So let me show you how this works. And this is why you have to have the right conversations. So if you want $100,000 of retirement income, and for all of us here live in Monmouth County is a fantastic place to work or to live if you can afford to live here. In fact, Sarah and I were having this conversation just this morning. I was telling her about how great Marlboro is, the town that I live in now and the town that I grew up in. It's a fantastic place if you can afford to live here. So anyone that retires in Monmouth County is probably going to need $100,000 in retirement income to continue living here. So if you have all your retirement income in a tax deferred account or a qualified plan, at the current tax rate, you're going to be taxed at 22%. So you have 100,000, 100% of that money in their account is taxable. 100,000 at 22% is $22,000 in tax. So you have worked and saved all that money. And when you go to take it out at current tax rates, this is not accounting for the tax increases that are most likely going to happen. You're going to pay Uncle Sam $22,000, keeping $78,000 of that hard-earned money that you did. Now, if you had a tax diversified plan or strategy, you could take $50,000 out of your 401k. You could take $50,000 out of your cash value life insurance. 100% of the $50,000 is taxable. You're going to get taxed at now 12% because you've lowered your effective tax rate. You're going to give Uncle Sam $6,000. The money you borrow from your cash value life insurance is tax-free. It's taxed at zero because money in a life insurance policy will grow tax-free, as the beneficiaries will also get a tax-free benefit. So you've paid zero in tax. You've gotten to keep $94,000 of your hard-earned money. Simple question. I'm sure I know the answer, but which would you rather have? Would you rather have the tax burden and keep $78,000, or would you rather have the right plans in place with diversification and keep $94,000? Not all of you at once.
Yeah, just keep taxing me. That's what I love.
I love the taxes.
You guys are true patriots.
Vacation. Right answer.
You have a sarcastic audience here, Tamer.
I'm used to it. I dish it out just so I can take it, but
I'm still stuck on the $100,000 to live in Monmouth. I feel like you need that a year to retire.
that's what I'm saying. You need this annually. This is all annual numbers. You'll need $100,000 annually to retire in Monmouth County. So this is how we help you prepare for retirement. So here we're talking about preparing for tomorrow, today. You need to have these conversations now so that tomorrow you have the right plans in place for all of this. You know, as a society, and I say this to anyone I talk to, I'm turning 45 in June. I wish somebody would have taught me this stuff when I was coming out of college. Instead, what happened in the student center? They handed me a credit card and they said, here, take this credit card. The college is going to get a percentage of what you spend. And here we all rack up debt. And then when you get to work, the people who you work with tell you, you know, we have a 401k, we're going to match. You should give as much as you can into your 401k. They don't explain to you how it works. They just tell you you're going to lower your taxes now. They don't tell you that in the future that you're going to be paying this out. This is how we're conditioned. So all of us save in a 401k. If you have a company that matches your 401k 5% and you're putting 10%, you're over giving to your 401k. That 5% can work harder for you somewhere else so that you're not paying more in taxes in the future. Stop stealing from your future self, because that's what you're doing, because a dollar today is more valuable than it will be in the future. Your dollar will be worth less as this country keeps printing more and more money. So you have to have the right plans in place to protect your finances, to protect your retirement. Being said, you also, another way to protect your finances is something called long-term care. And people don't talk about this, and they really should. So this type of planning helps protect you in the case that you need some type of help in the future. And you got to think about it. Who's going to help you should something happen? You know, when you look at long-term care, it helps cover the 6 daily points of living, whether it's eating, dressing yourself, going to the bathroom, showering. It helps moving around. It helps protect against that. As we get older, our healths are going to deteriorate. You know, for me, I have a mother who's got dementia, and they didn't put these plans in place. And who ends up taking care of the elderly parents when something happens? It's the children. Now, your children are going to grow up and they're going to have their own families to take care of. Are they going to be the ones that you can rely on to help you when you need it? Hopefully, yes. But if you don't, you need this type of planning in place, because 70% of Americans over the age of 65 can expect to have some type of long-term care needs during the last few years of their life. The average lifetime cost of long-term care is $172,000, and that can come out of your assets. If you put a long-term plan in place, you can help offset those costs, and we can help you design it so that it's cost effective for you now that meets your budget, so that in the future, should you need this type of care, you're not devastated financially, because they're going to come for this money no matter what when you need this type of care, whether that's taking away your retirement that you've saved up, your savings, or even your home. You're going to need some type of way to pay for this type of care if you need it. Put the right plan in place now when it's less expensive, and you'll qualify for it than waiting to the future when disaster could strike for you. Now, here in this area, and these are real numbers, you can go to our website and take a look at it, but here's how much long-term care would cost in the New York metropolitan area. I'll make that a little bit bigger. So if you wanted a skilled nursing facility, the annual rate's about $155,000. If you want a semi-private room, it's $43,000 a year. A 2-bedroom assisted living facility, you're looking at $7,500 a month. And you can see so on. If you put these types of plans in place, you can probably get this care at home if you didn't need to go into a facility, and we can help you plan for that. So have the right conversations with an insurance professional now so that you can have these types of protections for your finances in the future. The last way I want to talk to you about protecting for the future. So here you are, you've saved for your retirement, you've put money away for long-term care, you have cash value life insurance, but you also have Social Security that's going to be coming in. Now, do you have enough income to last you through retirement? One other way we can help you do that is through guaranteed life income through an annuity. Now, people are living longer, as you can see here. The likelihood of a 65-year-old living to 75 nowadays with modern medicine between a husband and wife is almost 99% that you're going to reach 75. 88% are going to reach 85, and 37% are going to reach 95. Now, is your Social Security enough for you to be able to continue living in Monmouth County? Most likely not. You do have your tax deferred accounts. You might have cash value life insurance, but even then, those are finite numbers. Those numbers could go out if you live longer than your money lasts. If you put your money in a guaranteed lifetime income, what you're basically doing is creating your own pension, your own Social Security. You can take a lump sum from your tax deferred accounts, put it in, or you can use cash and put it into one of these accounts, and you can guarantee yourself income for the rest of your life. It'll never run out. So one of the things that I actually did this with my own father. One of the first things I did, two things. One, he bought policies on his grandchildren because you can buy it on your grandchildren, lock into their insurability. Their children will thank you for it, so they're not stuck like I am being declined as an adult. Get it early and get it soon. It'll grow more, and they're going to protect future generations. But the other thing I did was I helped take some of his hard-earned money that he put away in a 401k, and I put it in a guaranteed lifetime annuity. I said, Dad, take a look at your monthly bills. You know you're getting this much from Social Security. You know you're getting this much from other areas. What's the gap between what it costs for you to live a month? And let's put that away in an annuity. This way, you know every month you're going to have this much, and this month going through until the day that you die. So those are the ways to help plan for the future. But the last thing I'm going to leave you with, that it's important to have the right company protecting your future. And when the right company, New York Life is the largest mutual company in America. We're actually Fortune 73. I guess we dropped two. I just saw that this morning. We've been paying out dividends to our clients for 167 consecutive years. Think about that for 1 second, 167 consecutive years of dividends. We've been able to pay out a dividend through the Great Depression, through 2 world wars, through the pandemic of 1918, through the September 11th, through the financial crisis of 2008, 2009. We've been able to pay out dividends. In fact, even through this pandemic, last November, we were able to declare a dividend for our clients. We are so financially strong that if every single one of our clients were to die tomorrow, we'd still have in excess of $26 billion in surplus. So we are financially strong. So you know that when you need your policy, it's going to be there for you. And the last thing, just take a look at the history of New York Life. We've been around 167 years. This country's only been around 244 years. So for 176 of those years, we've been protecting people, just like some of these people that you probably recognize on here: Franklin Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Susan B. Anthony, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth. We've protected their lives, and we can protect yours. So have the right conversations now, plan for the future. Your family will thank you for it. And if anyone has any questions for me or Jackie, the floor is open to all of you. We wowed you. You have no more questions.
or we stress them out.
I was just thinking you guys should take some of that money and pay down the debt, Tamer, with all that you guys have. Jeez.
Well, I apologize for.
Out to you, Jackie, for the link that you mentioned too.
Yeah, I saw. I wrote it down. I'll send it to you later today.
Thank you.
You know, and just with LegalShield, I mean, we give you a really good will. And what I tell people, it's only $24.95 to get the will done. And I just feel really passionate to make sure everybody in their family has a will.
And just from talking to Jackie, I also know that she has solutions for business owners, and businesses can use her services, as do we. We're able to work with business owners, whether you're a sole proprietorship, whether you're a corporation, we can help you. We can also help your employees. One of the things that a lot of you have heard me talk about at Perks, if you have over 50 employees, we can help you with a guaranteed life insurance solution. So if you are uninsurable like me, we can get you coverage if your employees are over 50. And you never know, because most likely, if you have a large employee base, you're going to have someone who's overweight, someone who's had cancer, someone who's had a heart attack, someone who's got type 2 diabetes. These things are conditions that make you uninsurable. So you'd be doing them a favor by putting something like this in place. Have that conversation, protect your employees, protect your business. That's what we're here to do. We're here to protect both Jackie and I. We want to make sure that you are all protected.
I apologize for tuning in late, but I know I've had the pleasure of hearing both of you speak before, and I think it was wonderful. And for both of you, I think one of the things that makes any presentation I've seen you give so strong is the way you relate it to your own experiences and to very human stories, rather than spouting just facts and figures, which are all very important. But you really, you strike close to home with the stories that you can share.
Thank you, John. And for me, it's all a family thing. Like, my parents don't have enough life insurance. They didn't do long-term care planning. And now I'm the one who's helping take care of my mother with dementia. And my dad had spine surgery a few years ago. I had to help them with that. And it's tough. It really is. And you need to plan this for your family. And I told the story last summer, and this one actually upset me. For those that know me, I before New York Life, I was in the nonprofit world because I really just want to help people. But I was working with somebody, and he was looking to get coverage for his mother. And I asked him, did you put the plans in place for yourself before we start talking about anything else? He's like, nah, I'm 55 years old. I'm healthy. Nothing's going to happen to me. So I let it go. I usually don't do that because I know better. And when I went to follow up with him, because he wanted a few days to mull over the scenarios I played out for him, his mother answered the phone and said he died last night in his sleep. That crushed me because I could have made a difference then. So this man died with no life insurance. It's now a burden on his mother, who he was trying to protect with life insurance, because he didn't put the proper plans in place. And that absolutely killed me inside, because I had the power to make things. If I had been a little more forceful with him and shown him, hey, let me show you a little inexpensive way to keep you. Because one of the things about what we do, we can make it as expensive or inexpensive as you need. We're able to match your budgets. And the one thing that I will leave everybody with is some insurance is better than no insurance. Have something to protect your family, whether it's adequate or not, have something. And we can work with any budget.
Yeah. And I have a similar story. Just if anybody saw in the news 2 weeks ago, a man in Manchester who was crushed between two trucks. And well, that man was my cousin. All right. And I had spoken to him about making sure you have a will and everything in place. Didn't do anything. And here he was killed accidentally. And now his sister lives in New Mexico. It's not that easy for her to just come out and drop everything, to come out here to settle everything in his estate. If he had planned a little bit better, it would make her life a lot easier. So you just never know. Here, this man was donating furniture and he got killed. So you don't know what tomorrow will bring.
Tamer, one question, is that always the case, that if someone has had cancer, they're uninsurable?
There's sometimes, if you've been in remission for some number of years, we might be able to get you through. But even if we can't get you through one way, we can try and find another way to get you some type of coverage. It's all case by case. One of the things that I stress, especially when I'm talking to different people, is none of this is cookie cutter. What works for you isn't going to work for the next person, which is why what Tim and I do is not transactional. We work as a team, and we work with you as a team. This isn't just, all right, we sell you life insurance, you never hear from us again. We constantly are in contact with our clients at least once a year, making sure that their situations are the same or nothing's changed, to make sure that we are working for you to the end to get you to financial stability.
Good, thank you.
And there's my partner in crime finally showing his face. And he turned it off. Does anybody else have any questions for Jackie or I? So the one thing I'm going to leave you with as we're coming up on the hour is I know, since I know how Jackie works and I know how I work, if you found this information valuable and you found it important, when Terese uploads the YouTube video, please share it or tell people that you know. I'm going to call someone out here. And thank you so much for referring me to one of your family members. I greatly appreciate it. It's how we grow. It's how we always talk about the chamber. It's about referrals. It's about working with one another. If you think this type of planning is important, but you already have it in place, but somebody you know needs it, tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell a colleague. Jackie and I are both open to educating them. Both of us are not pushy people. We'll give them the information, we'll educate them, and if it works for them, we'll help them. If that's not right for them, they'll move on. But neither of us are pushy people. We just want to help and we want to educate.
And thank you for the opportunity today.
All right. So if there are no other questions, thank you all for being here. And thank you to Jackie and for Tamer for sharing such important information. We will see you at the next event. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you both.
Sign
Good
up
job.
for the
Thank you.
Summit.
Yes, Leadership Summit is Saturday.
See you there.